Hey everybody, welcome to Brian Plays Games Bad. Tonight we got something special. We've got Dave, the creator of Linnaea and Tilia, here for an interview. We wanted to be able to do this live on stream, but wasn't able to do it, so we did some pre-recording, and I'm slapped it all together with some glue. So we'll see how it works. Enjoy. Dave, please introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about you.
Hey there everybody, my name is David or Dave or Neidoodle, formerly known as Neidoodle on SMW Central and Twitch. I'm the creator of a couple of ROM hacks, among them Linnaea, which Brian successfully beat live on stream. And ROM hacking is just one of the ways I try to express myself creatively. I always feel like I need to have some project which keeps me busy in a creative way among all the duties you have to perform in daily life. No. I'm a student of applied plant biology, which is a fancy term for horticulture. So it's rather horticulture than botany or biology, really, but I'm a hobby botanist myself and a huge fan of all plant life, which explains the theme of my latest two ROM hacks. About the confusion regarding my nickname on SMW Central, I just changed it at some point to Neidoodle, just because of the sound of it. I like that, and I also, I changed the nickname on Instagram first because I always love to do some little drawings or doodles, and I thought that would be a fun way to change my name slightly like that.
So could you tell us a little bit about how you got started making ROM hacks?
The first time I messed around with lunar magic was in 2011 at the age of 14, and to be honest, I can't even recall what made me do it. Probably I just saw a fun video of an SMW ROM hack at that time. Kaizo was not really a thing, except for trolling and annoying players at that time, so everything I made back then were standard hacks. And since then, I've been working on some little projects on and off all the time, but I never really finished anything until I discovered the kaizo community years later. I actually was quite late to the party in about 2020 when I discovered a German Twitch streamer who was really good at kaizo ROM hacks, and I was really impressed by that, and decided to try and make something like that myself. When you start making ROM hacks, standard or kaizo, you will always make something really terrible in the beginning. That's perfectly normal. And I changed my level design style a lot of times over the years, speaking of the standard hacks as well as the kaizo hacks. My biggest mistake with my first kaizo hack that I released on SMW Central actually was that I decided to make it before I could even play kaizo properly myself. So I just tried to make something really hard, put the retry patch on it, and released it. And that obviously didn't work out. When you want to make a decent kaizo ROM hack, you should be a decent kaizo player before. After that experience, I started playing all the beginner kaizo hacks first, and then I went back to making my own ROM hack, which was Tilia. And that hack too received so many updates until today. It's at version 2.2 right now because I watched so many people play it and complain about level design choices that I would agree to, as I became a better kaizo player myself just as well. So it's always really a process of getting better and better, and I really wanted to make it a hack that feels really satisfying to play, at least for myself. So I kept updating it. I really hope that I'm done with that now. Looking back at all the standard hack demos that I released over the years, I really wish I would have had the patience to complete at least one or two of them, because especially the later ones were quite promising, but I always quit for one or another reason. So maybe I can get back to these projects in the future, or at least to standard ROM hacking in some way.
So just out of curiosity, what's your general approach when thinking about a new hack to make? Does it start with some specific inspiration, a specific mechanic you like? Walk us through that.
The motivation for making a new hack have always been different in the past, but I definitely never had the whole concept of a hack I want to make in my head. I just started at some point. For Linnea, actually, it was just one particular custom block, the wall jump block, that I really enjoyed. And when playing around with it, I decided that I want to make a level. And that level just set the beginning to making a beginner ROM hack, as I realized the level felt beginner level to me.
With the popularity of Linnea, you must be really, really happy with the community response. What surprised you the most about it? Has it had any impact on your desire to make additional hacks?
Yes, yeah, I'm really, really grateful for all the positive feedback I received for this hack, and I'm happy that so many people enjoyed it. And especially just the number of comments on SMW Central itself, and the number of ratings there. Um, and yes, it might be a reason for me to make something in the future, although I can't say what exactly that will be. After all these years of making levels, as I said, on and off, and releasing hacks on SMW Central, this really is the first hack that has received that kind of positive response.
On SMW Central, you said when making Linnea, you wanted to do something in that upper beginner level category of difficulty. What really was the driver behind that?
About the decision to make an upper beginner difficulty kind of hack, that's just really those kinds of hacks that I enjoy myself the most to play. Upper beginner or lower intermediate hacks are just, yeah, that kind of chill experience for me that I don't have to grind too much for. So I decided I want to make something that was most fun for myself. Um, and the decision to make an upper beginner hack rather than lower intermediate, which yeah, is really something you can discuss, of course, um, was just about the length of the individual sections. So I decided if I make the sections shorter than 5 screens each, that would be enough for a beginner to beat, even though some of the setups might be too hard or might take a while. It should still not be too frustrating for a beginner just as well. If you have played a couple of beginner ROM hacks before, of course.
So you came out of the gate on the very first level with the sticky ceiling mechanic, and you said you like it. Where did you encounter the mechanic for the first time? Did you make any improvements to it at all? Why do you like it so much?
I can't remember exactly where I ran into the sticky ceiling mechanic for the first time. Might have been Dreams actually, but maybe it was a standard hack that I played, maybe New Super Mario World or something like that. Um, and yeah, I just really liked it a lot and thought you could make some fun kaizo setups with that. So I started off making these in Tilia, and at some point, to be honest, it just became more or less like a joke. Um, yeah, it turned out to be my trademark, and some of my playtesters while making Linnea said you should put sticky ceilings in every single section. Even though I myself wanted to hold back on that, I found that kind of funny and some way to make my level design stick out. Um, I did not change anything to the mechanic. I can't do ASM like that. I can't do ASM at all, to be honest. I'm not a programmer. I just took it and implemented it. All I did was draw the graphics, which I tried to make more visible in Linnea than in Tilia.
So there's a few places in the game where wall running is required. In level 3, I found it pretty difficult to get the very last wall run, but I was able to do a back jump and was able to get the speed I needed apparently to get forward. I noticed later in the game it was much harder, if not impossible, to do that. Was that spike of difficulty on purpose?
Wall running, pretty much like the sticky ceiling, is just one of the elements that I really love to use when making levels. And I already used them in my very first ROM hacks that I uploaded to SMW Central back in the days. When playing kaizo ROM hacks, I did not find a lot of wall running, so I decided I can change that and excessively use them in my hacks. It's a vanilla mechanic, and I did not change anything to it. I do know that you can save the jumps in some places, but I did not intend to make it harder in the later levels by preventing to save the jumps.
So the very first castle was really, really hard for me. I think I spent a little over 4 hours on it. Can you talk about your design decisions in that level?
It's interesting that the first castle was so challenging for you. I did not intend to make that any harder, even though it is a castle. One of my playtesters even said it's one of the easiest levels. And I can't really judge that myself, obviously, because I set everything the way it felt best for myself. I do understand, though, with all the bad setups in combination with the source, some people, especially when starting out with Kaizo, have a lot of trouble with moving objects that you have to keep spin jumping on. But yeah, I guess it's just a good way for anybody to learn and improve that.
Leucanthemum spec gave me a lot of trouble. I found it to be one of the most difficult levels in the game. It also represented the first time that I got actually trolled by a Kaizo level. What made you want to design that particularly devious double dinosaur jump that I've got on screen here the way that you did? It was so specific. I had to dig so deep. And when I did get it, it felt like pure luck most of the time.
The Leucanthemum level definitely is one of the harder ones for any player, just for it being a shell level, as well as yeah, the dinosaurs that can be really janky at some points. About that one particular setup that a lot of people really struggled about. To be honest, yeah, it just went through playtesting like that, because when making it, I found one way to do it consistently, and it's easy to just keep setups you found a way to complete consistently in there like that. So I kept it, but I do understand your rage, and I saw many people rage over that. Unfortunately, or fortunately for me, some people had already been speedrunning the first version of the hack, so I decided I would not change any of the level design in a way that would make the newer version faster. So I had to keep it in like that. Sorry for this particular setup, really.
So the last level recap was so fun to play. Can you talk about what you wanted to do with it? Had you done the single screen puzzle kind of thing before? Is that something that you'd like to do more of?
Some hacks that I played in the past had this concept of doing a recap level, especially Love Yourself, which is another really amazing beginner hack. And I really, yeah, I loved it in Love Yourself, so to say, and copied it from there, to be honest. Making one-screen puzzles is a really convenient concept, especially if you reuse all the aesthetics and the level setups you built before, because you just have to, yeah, copy the level to another slot, delete everything, and make one single screen. I did do it before in one level in Tilia, and I enjoyed it a lot, and I would like to do it again in the future, maybe make a whole hack of that, just like the Nightmare Cafe series. We'll see.
While we're here, can you talk a little bit about your latest release, Tilia 2.2?
As I mentioned before, Tilia 2.2 is just yet another update of my first serious kaizo ROM hack that I released at SMW Central, and I just made it a few tweaks and adjustments to it, especially in one level that had a huge difficulty spike. Speaking about the whole hack, um, Tilia is really the hack that I put the most effort into, even though I would have done things differently looking back at it now. But yeah, I loved it so much that I kept updating it until it felt just right for myself.
So, Dave, what's next on the agenda for you? Any hacks coming in the future?
Next up for me definitely is focusing on my bachelor's degree and finishing that. But speaking about Super Mario World ROM hacks, there's nothing planned in particular, but I always have ideas floating around in my head, whether it being a standard ROM hack, maybe a reboot or a remake of the very first ROM hack that I released in SMW Central, or I thought about making standard or easier versions of Tilia and Linnea, just for other people to play the same like concept of hack, but yeah, just make it accessible for non-kaizo players. Just take all the aesthetics I already made and build some standard levels again, which is what I started with after all.
Hey, Dave, thank you so much for coming and giving us an opportunity to look behind the curtain. Would you like to say anything in closing?
Thank you very much for this opportunity to express myself in this way and talk about SMW ROM hacking. You don't meet a lot of people in real life that you can talk about that in detail so much. So I always enjoy to do things like that. And yeah, just I really hope you enjoy your Kaiser journey and will enjoy it in the future. Good luck, have fun, and keep grinding.